Most people over 60 are losing muscle, not because they're aging, but because they're eating the wrong, healthy foods. And today, I'm going to show you how simple, inexpensive foods can help you rebuild strength, balance, and independence starting this week. Let me be very clear about something most people have never been told. Muscle loss after 60 is not inevitable. It's not a life sentence, and it's not something you're supposed to quietly accept. I've seen too many patients do everything right, eating protein, walking daily, following medical advice, yet still feel weaker every year. They assume it's just age catching up with them. But that assumption is often wrong. What's really happening is this. The body changes how it uses food as we get older. Foods that worked at 40 stop working at 65. Protein that once built muscle now passes through unused. And the muscles slowly starve. Not from lack of effort, but from lack of the right signals. The good news? Those signals can be turned back on. In this video, I'm going to walk you through everyday foods that support aging muscles the way they actually need, helping your legs feel stronger, your balance steadier, and your body more responsive again. This isn't about chasing youth. It's about keeping your strength long enough to live life on your own terms. You know, there's something that has troubled me for many years as a physician, and I believe it's time we finally talk about it honestly. Nearly every patient over the age of 65 that I've worked with didn't lose muscle because they were lazy or inactive. They lost muscle because they believed something that sounded completely right, but wasn't. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been told, if you want to stay strong, eat eggs? Eggs are the perfect protein. I believe that too. For decades, that's what we taught in medicine. I told my patients that. I ate eggs every morning myself. And chances are, you did too. But then something stopped adding up. I had a patient named George. He was 72 years old, lived alone, very disciplined. 2 eggs every morning, walked every day, no smoking, no alcohol. And yet, he was getting weaker. Standing up from a chair became harder. His legs trembled slightly when stepping off a curb. One day he looked at me and asked, "Doctor, what am I doing wrong?" That question stayed with me, because he wasn't doing anything wrong, at least not according to what we had been teaching for years. That's when I started digging into newer research. Not studies on 30-year-olds, not athletes, but real people, in their 60s, 70s, even 80s. And what I found shook the foundation of what we thought we knew. When scientists analyzed over 3,000 foods based on how well they help older adults build and maintain muscle, only 10 foods truly stood out. Do you know where eggs ranked? They didn't make the list. Not because eggs are bad, but because after age 60, our bodies no longer process protein the same way. Have you ever felt this? You eat enough but still feel weak. You increase protein, but your legs and arms don't seem to respond anymore. That's not just aging, that's changed absorption. When you're younger, your body is like a fresh sponge. Protein goes in and gets used immediately. After 60, digestion slows, enzymes decline, and the signal to build muscle weakens. Egg protein digests quickly, too quickly for an aging body. It passes through before your muscles can fully use it overnight. It doesn't stay long enough to support the repair process older muscles rely on most. And for some people, eggs quietly raise cholesterol and low-grade inflammation, both of which interfere with recovery. I know this may be uncomfortable to hear. It goes against what many of us were told for 20 or 30 years. But I want you to imagine something. Imagine standing up from a chair without using your hands. Imagine climbing stairs without stopping halfway. Imagine keeping that strength for another 10, even 15 years. Would you be willing to question old beliefs? What frustrates me most isn't that science evolves. It's that cheap, everyday foods, far more effective than eggs, are rarely talked about. Because weak seniors need medications, they need walkers, they need assisted living. Strong, independent seniors don't. I'm not making this video to blame anyone. I'm making it because I've seen what's possible. I've seen 75-year-olds regain leg strength. I've seen people in their 80s walk more confidently again, within months. Not with new drugs, not with expensive gyms, but with simple foods, some of which may already be in your kitchen. In the next few minutes, I'm going to share those foods with you. Foods backed by science that help older adults build muscle better than eggs. Cheaper, safer, and better suited for the body after 60. And one food on this list, when I first read the research, I had to stop and say, we should have known this 20 years ago. Before we continue, let me ask you something personal. How old are you right now? And what worries you most about your strength today? Share it in the comments. I read every single one, because your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to stop giving up on their body. Now, let's begin. After understanding why eggs are no longer the savior of muscle after age 60, there's something even more important I want you to understand. Aging muscles don't need more protein. Aging muscles need the right protein, at the right time, in the right biological environment. And this is where the foods I'm about to share make a real difference. I want to begin with something incredibly small and light, so light that most people walk right past it in the grocery store without a second glance. Nori seaweed. Those paper-thin sheets of seaweed contain bioactive peptides, tiny fragments of protein. For a younger digestive system, that may not sound like a big deal, but for someone over 60, it's gold. A 73-year-old patient once said to me, "Doctor, I eat enough, so why don't my muscles respond?" The issue wasn't how much he was eating, it was how much his body could actually absorb. The peptides in nori enter the bloodstream quickly and gently, allowing aging muscles to finally receive the repair signal instead of letting protein pass through unused. Then I often talk about lentils. Many Americans think of lentils as bland vegetarian food, but in geriatric medicine, we see them very differently. Lentils contain plant-based leucine, the amino acid that acts like an on switch for muscle building. After age 60, that switch becomes stubborn. You have to press it the right way, or nothing happens. I once had a 68-year-old female patient who avoided red meat because it upset her stomach. When she added lentils a few times a week, she told me, "For the first time in years, my legs feel alive again." Not because lentils are stronger than meat, but because they're more compatible with an aging body. Next comes canned sardines. I'll be honest, many patients make a face when they hear that. But the omega-3s in sardines don't just help the heart. They reduce silent inflammation inside muscle, the very thing that prevents recovery no matter how well you eat or exercise. And vitamin B12 is a different story altogether. Without enough B12, the signal from your brain to your muscles becomes unclear. You may have muscle, but it doesn't respond the way it should. I've seen countless cases of leg weakness that weren't caused by muscle loss, but by poor nerve signaling. Then there's something very simple that many people already eat without realizing its real value: pumpkin seeds. The magnesium in pumpkin seeds helps muscles relax properly. Zinc helps maintain the hormones tied to strength, especially in men over 60. Have you ever dealt with nighttime leg cramps or weak grip strength? Very often that's not just aging. It's a lack of foundational minerals. I always take time to talk about cottage cheese, not because it's trendy, but because the casein protein feeds your muscles overnight. Muscles don't repair themselves while you're moving. They rebuild while you sleep. One patient said something very simply, "Doctor, I don't wake up stiff anymore." One small change before bed, with effects that last all night. Then there's teff grain, a tiny grain rich in lysine, an amino acid essential for collagen. You can have strong muscles, but if your tendons and connective tissue are weak, you're still at risk of falling. Strength isn't just force, it's stability. Bone broth is something I often recommend to people who say, "Doctor, I'm so weak. Eating feels exhausting." It doesn't build muscle quickly, but it builds the foundation. When tendons, joints, and fascia recover, muscles finally feel safe enough to work again. Tofu tells a different story. Its isoflavones support hormones gently, without forcing, without shock. That makes it ideal for bodies that have moved past their hormonal peak. Chickpeas, millet, and tiger nuts all share one crucial role. They provide stable, lasting energy without blood sugar spikes. Many older adults feel weak, not because they lack muscle, but because their muscles don't have reliable fuel. Finally, I want to mention spirulina and mussels. One offers highly concentrated protein with powerful anti-inflammatory effects. The other provides taurine, which protects muscle tissue from age-related degeneration. I often tell my patients, we're not fighting aging, we're just refusing to let it take everything too soon. And these foods, simple, affordable, often overlooked, are doing exactly that. Before we end today, I want to leave you with one final thought. Getting older does not mean you are supposed to feel weak. It does not mean your legs should give up on you. And it certainly does not mean you should quietly accept losing your independence. I've spent decades working with people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. And I can tell you this with complete honesty. The body is far more capable of rebuilding than most people believe when it's given the right support. Not expensive supplements, not extreme workouts, but simple, thoughtful choices made consistently. If even one idea in today's video made you pause and think, if that's true, maybe I still have time, then this conversation was worth having. Now I'd really like to hear from you. How old are you right now? And what's the one physical change that worries you the most? Strength, balance, or endurance? Please share your thoughts in the comments. I read them all, and your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this video helped you, even a little, please take a second to hit the like button. It tells the algorithm to show this message to others who may be quietly struggling, just like you once were. And if you know a friend, a spouse, or a parent who's been feeling weaker lately, share this video with them. Sometimes the right information at the right moment can truly change a life. Finally, if you want to keep learning how to stay strong, steady, and independent as you age, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. I post new videos every week, sharing honest, science-backed guidance. No hype, no fear, just what actually works for real people. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. And I'll see you in the next video.